and welcome back to another episode of the Blue Honor Vlog. Oh, I am off center here. Terrible, terrible direction from the camera operator. That'd be me. Cheap production. Dang. Oh, hey, we do what we can, right? We do what we can. If y'all would just buy thousands and thousands more books, I'd be able to hire a crew. They don't come cheap, just saying. So, as I said in my previous episode, I was talking about what we're going to do this year and where we're kind of headed and where to look for things because I'm kind of spread out a little bit more. This is the channel where I do much more long form posts, videos, presenting different topics, etc., and talk about mainly just writing and the books. Let's see. So in 2016, I had been running my blog already for 2 years, and a friend of mine who passed away last year and will be missed, Sterling Treadwell. You can see him doing a table read with me for the Tralokia trilogy. I believe that was 2020. Early in the year, I had placed in the in a screenwriting contest and got a table read, and he helped me bring to life a couple of characters in that. Absolutely brilliant voice artist, and it is a tragedy that he didn't get to do more. You didn't get to see more from him. Sterling, you are missed. And I know, sorry, this message will reach you. Anyway, so in 2016, he had convinced me to finally do YouTube. And I'm still going strong with that, thanks to him and his support. He was one of my biggest supporters for my writing. And this was my third episode, and it was, again, June 2016, and I was trying to think of what can I possibly post that anyone is going to give a crap about. And he said, just talk. You've got this. You're brilliant. You have a brilliant mind. I'm so grateful to him because here we are in 2024, almost 10 years. It's a good 8 years doing this vlog, and I'm grateful to him that I did this. I've come out of my shell. I'm able to do trainings, presentations, etc. without missing a beat, not getting nervous. I'm used to delivering. I could cut down on the ums, and I am working on that. That is something that takes a little bit of time when you don't have a script that you're just straight reading from. It's a lot easier in a training when I have like a script to run from. So in June of 2016, I talked about who do your books appeal to? And I think that is one of the most important things as an author that you need to think about, because that is how you're going to gear your entire marketing approach, how you're going to reach out to people, who you're going to focus on. Who are the people that I want to talk to? For me, my platform as an author, I cover both historical fiction and I also do dark fantasy paranormal. However, they cross over. So while Blue Honor, a Civil War drama, appeals to people who prefer romantic stories and dramas and period pieces, the PBS folks, op-dec kind of, branches off of that, although I see it a lot. PBS does a lot with World War II. There's a World War II historical piece. And I'm sorry, I have to keep an eye on Hildy over here while I'm doing this. It is a film noir. It is an action adventure like Indiana Jones. So it's a bit dissimilar to Blue Honor, although they cross genres with the historical aspect. Additionally, the Trilokia trilogy, she's so cute. Hi, baby. The Trilokia trilogy is a dark fantasy paranormal. And the first book of that goes in and starts back in the 1960s. And there is some history that is broached in that about the 1950s Hungarian Revolution. So these books appeal to people who like things that are researched, thought out, that like cultural topics. So people who don't shy away from something that might lean a little feminist, something that scratches the surface on LGBTQ interests or issues. Blue Honor, speaking of race and slavery and the historical issues of the United States that still to this day go unaddressed and kind of glossed over and buried in the propaganda of what we do get in history class and stuff, in public education, even private education, etc. So it doesn't necessarily shy away from difficult topics. That's another thing. And I think that is an important aspect of literature. And literature is always kind of honed in on those difficult topics, those things that it isn't so easy to have a conversation about. But you could maybe write a story so that it serves as an allegory and it's a launching off point. I always thought Blue would be an interesting piece to study, not only because of me as an author being a white individual, obviously, and the white privilege that bars one from fully understanding and comprehending all of those issues, those historical issues. But yet understanding the issues of subjugation via womanhood and femme presenting individuals. What could and could not happen depending on which gender role you decided to fall under, what you adhered to. Because if you know your history, not everybody abided by the gender binary. So there were women who would present themselves as masculine and go and they fought the war. And they did what they wanted to do. Not necessarily what they had to do, but what they wanted to do. They felt it was absolutely necessary. This is who they were. It was part of them. And they went and they fought that war for their country, and they were awarded medals in some cases. So it was pretty important that they were allowed to do those sorts of things. And while our culture here in the United States remains, unfortunately, vastly unaccepting, and it was then too, it still happened. It has always been. It has always been. If you look at European history, it has always been. So that, I guess you would call it nonconformist aspect, comes out a lot more in Trilokia. So many of this episode, by the way, that I am talking about was the third episode of the Blue Honor vlog. So you can actually go back and watch that. So the Duda, who are the equivalent of angels, to make it simple, and the Danava, who are the equivalent of demons. There's a fluidity in personal expression. So, that binary is not really there. And they are rather confused. I mean, they express themselves as they see themselves, because their body is an expression of the mental aspect. It isn't our existence. And they don't have the hang-ups that humanity does on planet Earth, or any of the other alien races that come up do we call it extraterrestrial, other life forms throughout the universe that they don't necessarily have. So I think it would appeal to people who don't have those hangups or are looking to maybe explore those ideas. I know sometimes when people kind of crack Trilokia and look at it a little bit, they feel like, is this a religious text? While it takes those cultural aspects from, like, say, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, it is not attempting to be a Bible. It is not attempting to be a book of that nature to preach. It is attempting to tell a story about somebody who happens to be that species. What if angels were a real species? So here on Earth and in English, we call them angels. That doesn't mean that that's what they call themselves, right? I mean, we've run into that before. We have explored the planet and we have met different groups from our own culture, and we attempt to label them what we think they should be called, and that isn't their name. They have a name for themselves, and that should be respected, right? We might call them something as a placeholder until we find out, well, what do you call yourself? And then we take that placeholder away and we call them what they want to be called. It's extremely respectful, isn't it? And that's how it should be. I mean, you wouldn't want to enter into somebody's house and they go, oh, we already have a name for you. We're not calling you by your given name. We don't care about any of that. You just wouldn't do that, right? So, it just kind of wants to imagine that, like, almost in a comic book fashion. You may have noticed that I am really into all sorts of pop culture sort of things. And even as an agnostic, kind of call myself a pagan. You know, here's the Queen, Stevie Nicks. You don't really want to be pinned down and hemmed into a religion. I don't like that. It starts to get very dogmatic, and it doesn't feel right. It feels like there's all these rules and these bindings, and then things don't make sense anymore. And it's like, I much prefer coming at things more, or lack of a better term, organically, and kind of, play around with it like that and let the dice roll and see what makes sense and what will stick. And that's kind of how Trilokia came into being. It's like, what if these entities existed? And I'm guessing that they would come from like a parallel universe like Thor did. And that portal opened, they can open it, or whatever their technology is advanced enough that they can open and close that door if they want. They're able to disguise themselves and stay in disguise. But obviously, somehow, we have some notion of them, some memory of them, some memory of that universe that they come from, which in the books portrays the homeworld and things like that. So it would appeal to people who like comic books, the movie Insidious, because it gets pretty scary at points. The film Inception, because it gets trippy at points as well. People who are looking for diversity of characters. People who are unbound by gender norms and roles and physical body that just, you were born into this, so you're stuck. This is what we assigned you. And they're not bound by that and that freedom. And what would that look like? It's really cool to explore. For some of these characters, even the main character, Maya, alludes to incarnating. So what they do is they attach to a bio vessel. They call the body a bio vessel. It's basically like a space suit that they come here, and it's like an avatar. And the gender doesn't necessarily matter. They map out whatever experience it is that they think that they need that will help them grow as beings, whatever they think that they need to learn. And they map out this whole life in order to figure that out. And basically play the life game. So it would appeal to people who are maybe gamers. Can you imagine having an avatar like that, planning out like a whole life and scenario and stuff and letting that play out and see what you learn? People who love lifelong learning are interested in crazy ideas, just very, very different ideas, something that may have never been done before. And I have yet to see anything like this. Editors that worked with me on it have said the same thing. There's not really anything like this. This is crazy, and it works, and they're very excited about it. So hopefully at some point I will get to work on doing the script for the pilot and shopping that out there again. If you like things like Jacob's Ladder, I think that's the one, Prophecy with Christopher Walken, Inception, What Dreams May Come, just those films like that, it will appeal to you. And as I said with the other two, Indiana Jones, film noir, World War II, spy thrillers, like The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, things like that. It really harkens back to the 1940s noir, post-war type of dark film. And then Blue, of course, is just... I was heavily influenced at the time of the Victorian novel, and just kind of figuring out that style. And I remember one reader, an author friend, who read it, and they said, I thought that only the British were capable of writing this kind of drama. And that touched me because I worked very hard on that. That one was tough. It was very, very tough. And I didn't think it would ever eventually come to be the project that it now stands as. And I'm grateful to my editor for working with me to literally beat it into shape so that it would be. So hopefully that answers the question all over again, because it's been about 8 years since I answered that question. And that's who my books appeal to. And in the future, that's who my books will appeal to. I'm going to pretty much stick around those, continue with maybe a spin-off series with Triloquia, and, moving forward on op-dec's sequel. So a little bit more noir. But we'll see how it goes. It's tough finding time as a single parent and working. Maybe as I come up to retirement, things will start to loosen up and I'll have a little bit more time, and that would be excellent. But right now, my daughter is my focus, and making sure that she has everything that she needs while going to school and all the love and attention that she needs for her development. That's my main focus. And, So Duck takes time, Shag Bottom Theater takes time, TikTok takes time, this takes time. So sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to produce those books. So I will see you back here next time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss it. Thank you.